Thank you. So, hello everyone. We are back on our session with a thriving immigrant woman. And today I'm pleased, Mrs. Yvette Takwe is pleased to host you. And we have our very own able guest by the name Mr. Kingsley Kang. I'm going to pass over the mic to him to introduce himself, and then I'm going to introduce our topic of today. So, over to you, Mr. King.
All right, thank you so much. Like she said, my name is Kingsley Kang. I am an immigrant, been in the States for about 15 or so years now. Um, Also a father and a working professional, live in the state of Maine in the United States.
Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome on this platform, and you're very much welcome. And we are here trying to see how we can better improve our immigrant families thrive as they find new skills, as they begin a new journey in whatever part of the world they find themselves in. On today's session, we are so happy to have you. And you and I, we are going to be talking about raising our kids or interracial
Mhm.
relationships and how kids grow and thrive in that kind of relationships. The reason why we chose to get into this topic is, first of all, on this side of the world, especially abroad, European countries, it's not that easy to raise kids. But my main point of interest was I want to know raising our own African kids can be sometimes challenging. Talk less of when you have to do it raising interracial kids. So I want to pick on your brain today and let you pour out a little bit more to my viewers and my followers and change the life of some people's relationships or change their relationships or those who might be struggling in that
Yeah.
section with raising kids or their relationships.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
as we begin, my first question to you today would be, as a dad raising a child from an interracial relationship, how do you use intentionality to shape your child's identity? And how do you honor the fact that, me knowing you personally, you really fear God? How do you honor that fact and how do you incorporate that into your child's upbringing?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, being being a parent alone is a lot of work, very challenging, and also being a single dad that co-parents in an interracial setting, it's equally even more challenging. But I think my being a parent is a blessing from God. That's how I look at it, because
Yes,
a lot of people go through this life and they don't even get the opportunity to become parents.
you're
And
right.
so I look at it, and there are days that are difficult, and then there are moments that the kids will do something that makes all of those challenges so rewarding. But my son, he's 6 years old, and he's biracial, and the two cultures are completely different. But it it makes I would say I'm one of the lucky few that we both rose to the level of being adults and mature about it and agreeing to the fact that it's about the child and not us. No matter what happened in our relationship, or that has nothing to do with the fact that that child is here. So now it's about raising that child the right way and bringing that child closer to God. And so when I interact with my son, I'll discipline, but at the same time, I'll make sure that I bring him in the sight that I know that God is going to be completely happy that I am raising him right. For instance, he when I have him, he goes to church with me, or when it's with his mother, he goes to church with his grandmother on his mother's side. His grandmother is a very religious woman,
Right.
and so he loves it. He would tell me on Sundays, "I'm very excited to go to church." There's Sunday school; they'll bring him up in that way, and so I make sure he doesn't lose sight of that because it's a very big part of the person that I am, and I try my best to make him realize that is very important to me, and so that is slowly seeping into him.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And you just made me reflect. As kids, my grandmom raised us, and my parents were Presbyterian, but she was apostolic. So she would always take us there, and we loved going to church with her because it was vibrant and the music was very interesting, and we enjoyed ourselves. And you made a point that is very important for us to take note. And you know, the Bible says, raise up bring up a child in the way that he should go. And when he grows, he's not going to depart from it. And the fact that you're already instilling in him the fear of God through making sure that he is going with you hand in hand into God's house.
Yeah.
It's already like shaping him to understand that that should be my routine, that should be my lifestyle, and he starts learning. And the reason why I picked on that is because here on this part of the world, we tend to feel like it's a busy place and we don't know what is important and what to initiate. Like you will find on Sunday mornings, that is when some parents are either taking kids to soccer practice or to other extracurricular activities. But it takes a man of great wisdom and a man with a fear of God to know that discipline is discipline. This is what we call our core values, and this is what we should abide in, and that is where we should shape our family values. And that
Yeah.
is really, really a point of interest, a point of interest to me. And I'm picking so much on raising our kids because it's dangerous out there. And you can be at home with a child and you'll be surprised at what that child is at school.
Mhm.
So the very, very much and the best we can give to that child is what we can leave that child with. And
No,
thank you
absolutely.
for bringing out that very aspect. So you touched a little bit about culture when you talked about raising your son.
Yeah.
And I want us to talk about this. Now, when it comes to navigating cultural differences, us Africans growing back in Cameroon, we were brought up in a different culture, right? I want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about discipline.
Yes.
The Bible says, don't spare the rod and spoil the child. Our
Hmm.
own parents believed in whooping.
Hmm.
When I look at my mom and my dad, I was like, oh, dad, you're the best. And I tell a lot of people in my 40 years of living on the planet, and my dad has never touched me. But my mom had a different way of discipline us. She believed that, whoo, if she doesn't get you crying, she's not disciplining you. But my dad believed in sitting us down, giving us a good counsel in a quiet and calm voice and telling you what you did wrong and how you were supposed to do it. So I wanted to find out from you, how is that with you?
You know, you brought up a really good point, being that, we're from the same country and everything. I, my parents were the same, but for me, it was the opposite. My dad was very strict. I mean, my mom is more calm, but she would talk to you. My dad is, hey, if I talk to you, you don't listen, the whip comes out,
Mhm.
you know. And
Make
as a
us always
child,
have one of that parents acting like that.
yeah, and as a child, I used to think he was very mean,
Mhm.
that, he's just maybe he didn't like me, but as an adult, I look at it and go, I am grateful that he did that. He did that. Not from a place of hate, but it was from a place of love. And he wasn't doing it just because he felt like it. It's because he had tried other ways and I wasn't listening. And pain, there's something about pain that creates a memory in
Yes.
you. And the next time you want to do something, you think about that pain and you're like, no, I'm not doing that
Mm.
because I don't want to go back to that same place.
Oh,
But when my son was born, his mom, of course, she knew very well. I'm an African man, very proud of it. I remember in the hospital, she looked at me and she said, I want you to raise him the African way.
that's good.
And I looked at her and I said, I wasn't going to do it any other way. Because the reason I say that is because, and I'm not diminishing the culture like here in the States, but I look at the family dynamics is completely different from us.
Okay.
In the sense that children, yes, it's great, it's nice to love your kids and everything, show them that you love them, but there's a boundary to which you cannot let children take certain liberties.
Yes.
And one thing I noticed was that, for example, I'll go to the store. And I'll see the way some of these kids will behave. They'll talk back at their parents. I'm talking
Hmm.
5, 6 year olds, having tantrums. And the parents are having to, plead with them, almost as if they then run the show. And
Yeah.
I'm like shaking my head like, my mom or my dad,
Hmm.
they will give me a look or they will even just say something to me
Hmm.
in my dialect. And I will know exactly.
What it meant and how to adjust.
Exactly. And I'm like, no, 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 no. See, give me that child, okay? Give just 1 week and they'll come back different.
Okay.
My son, growing up, as he's growing up, he would throw temper tantrums. And I looked at him one day, I said, "You're very blessed to have an African dad.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get older and your friends are acting up, then you tell them, you know what, this will not fly with my dad because what you're doing right there, no, it's a no-go."
Yeah.
He would throw things and then I wouldn't yell. I'll tell him, I said, "Do you like that stuff?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "Okay, good. Now I'm taking that away from you. The next time you decide to throw another one, think about it. It's going to be gone and I'm not replacing it." And then he'll later on come to me and apologize. And I ask him, "Why, what are you apologizing for?" He'll tell me because he didn't behave well.
That's good.
And I took his toys. But one day I had to spank him. And I know it's a controversial topic.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about, oh, spanking, there's spanking and then there's beating up a child.
Thank
It's
you.
different, you know. And we were in Target, he had a toy in his hand. He saw the same toy on the shelf. He was sitting in the shopping cart and he
Mm-hmm.
said he wanted it. I said, "No, you cannot have it because you already have the same toy."
Yes.
And he got very upset and he threw the toy at me. It hit me in the forehead. And in that moment, I said, "No, no, 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 not today." So I took him out of the cart, put him down. I said, "Walk." And he sat on the floor. I picked him up. I used my right hand and I spanked his butt. And he
Mm-hmm.
looked at me like he saw a ghost because he's looking like, how can this dad that loves me so much
Mm-hmm.
spank me? I said, "Let me tell you something. By the time I get to the end of that hour, you should be next to me." And he starts following me around Target and going, "Dada, I'm sorry." I said, "No, not today. Walk with me." It's the little things, but I also respect the fact that here the conversations go with it, and then you show them the teachable lesson. Sometimes I'll get really upset, and then I'll go to him and apologize because even as his dad, I don't think I know everything, and I don't think I'm right in every moment. I'll go, that was too harsh, and I'll sit him down and I say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry that I was very harsh. I'm sorry that I raised my voice the way I did, but you did something that upset me, and that's why I did that. So." I only raised my voice because you did it. So next time, don't do it. And he loves this thing where he goes into the room, has a moment, and then comes back. And then he'll come hug me and say, "I'm sorry." And then I'll tell him I'm sorry too. He goes, "It's okay. It was a mistake."
That's
And
so what I pick from you is you give him a moment of reflection, and I
yeah,
love the intentionality, and you also correct with passion and with
yeah,
love, with the fact that you want him to see what he did wrong
yeah,
and how he could do it better. So
yes,
that is something very, very important that we need to also take into total consideration because the kids now they think so differently, right? And they're
yeah,
so inquisitive. They always want to know why. And
mm,
it's good to have that conversation and that space with them
yeah,
because from our African language, they'll say you beat with one hand, you draw them close with another. And
yeah,
that creates an atmosphere of friendship and not despair. Why I
yes,
say so, it's that gives them that ample space that even when they are treated wrongly by someone out there, they can always confide in you and
yeah,
come back to you to trust in you. Thank you so
absolutely,
much for that point.
yeah,
So moving on, I know that it's always important to instill in our kids self-worth. They go through, let me say, peer pressure in school. I
hmm
have my daughter telling me the other day, "Mommy, you sometimes you just sit at home, but you don't know what we go through. They will call you black this, you look
yeah,
like black monkey, you look like that." And it got me reflecting, and I was like, oh, this is childhood trauma, right? And just
mhm,
like you said, there's a difference between whooping and there's a difference too between actually inflicting pain. And I
yeah,
find that parents have it difficult understanding that in order to be able to discipline a child because they already have that ideology that they will say it's bullying or it's traumatizing or they call it physical abuse, but there's
yeah,
a way that you correct them. So I want us to talk a little bit about self-worth.
hmm
Self-worth. The Bible says we are beautifully and wonderfully made.
yeah.
What are some of the strategies do you use to instill some of this self-worth in your son or in your environment?
Yeah, there's a question I've been asking for a while, and I don't think anybody's ever going to be able to give me an answer yet. It's funny how if two people get together and have a child from different races,
Yeah.
especially the other person is Caucasian and the other person is Black or African, right? But the system immediately pivots and say that child is black. But that
Mm.
child has 50% DNA. Why can that child qualify as white?
Yeah.
You know? And that's a very difficult space to be. My son, he's going to that space where he's asking me all the time, he's like, Dada, you know, my skin tone looks different from yours. And I pulled him in one day. I said, listen, Dad, yes, Dad he has a different skin tone, but understand something. We are all human beings, okay? And if you remember, the Sunday school teacher does a really good job. I've said, remember what when they taught you in school about love, God loves all his children. He made every single one of us. And
Thank you.
remember, you're also a very smart child. So no one can take that away from you. If anybody says anything to you, remember, Mama loves you, Dada loves you, God loves you. Okay? Your cousins love you, your aunties, your uncle, your grandmas, they all love you. So no matter what anybody says, just remember that you're very well loved, you're very smart, and you're gonna go places. Don't ever let anybody get you to the point where you have to hit a child or hit anybody. Do you understand? He goes,
Wonderful.
okay, Dad. And that is how he looks at it. Sometimes I would say, he has very short fuse. He doesn't like getting pushed around. And you push him, he tells you stop. You push him, he tells you stop. And the next thing you know, he's going to slap you. And that happened for a while. And I had to sit him down and told him, I said, if I hit you with my hand, do you like the pain? He goes, no. I said, I understand that these kids say things to you and they upset you. That's okay. If you hit them, then it gives them the opportunity to keep looking at you in that light. Do you want anybody to think you're a trouble child? He goes, no.
No.
Okay, good. That's not what you want. I said, you're a very good kid. Even my brother, his uncle, would talk to him, and he calls my brother his best friend, which kind of makes me sad because I thought I was his best friend, but it's okay.
So my position as in your father is
Yes.
that's very great. That's very great. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, if you're following us, don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe on this channel. And I want to comment Mr. King on you made a very wonderful point. Telling him letting him know you're created in God's image. And I want to use this opportunity to tell you that in a couple of months, my children's book should be out, and I titled it The Skin in Which I Was Created In. And the reason is I faced a little bit of bullying, but it'll be surprising for people to understand that I faced bullying while I was in high school back home. And it was around this, I don't know what happened around the early 2000s. And I
Hmm.
noticed that one day I walked in class and all the ladies in my class, they had bleached their skin. And I was the only one sitting among them in class. And I was like, hey, the rapture just occurred and I was left behind. Oh, what is going on to all these ladies? And immediately I was thinking like that, guess what? The principal entered and
Yeah.
he treated me like Oliver Twist, put me on a high table and said, everybody look at her. And I was like, why is this man embarrassing me? He turned to me and said, you are very beautiful who you are. He said, the day I walk in here and anything has happened to your skin color, and then you're going to be in trouble. So that
Yeah.
got me thinking. And when my daughter came back, because she was going through her early stages of adolescence with a lot of acne, and she was feeling like she had to do all these things to belong, it had me thinking. And I was like, how
Sure.
do I save the next generation coming up? How do I teach these little children that they have to understand how to appreciate each other for who they are and what they are labeled for? And thank you so much for that aspect. And I think it's time for us parents to understand that we need to start letting them know these things while they are early so that before they get to that age where they start labeling them or being biased about their skin color, they know how to respond and know how to teach others to become better.
Yeah. No,
Next,
absolutely. I just want to add one quick point on that.
yeah,
When my son has moments where he's struggling, he comes to me, and at this point, I know him very well. I understand him. I can tell if something's bothering him. And he loves to snuggle me. He loves to hug. And he'll just come hug me and start talking to me if he's struggling with something. And then I always remind him, you have to love you, the person that you are, so much more than anybody that can love you. Do you understand
yeah,
that?
thank you.
Because if you love yourself, then you can love mama, you can love dada, you
Yes.
know. So And he always, every time I tell him, I'm like, I think I love you. He goes, no, Dada, I love you. I was like, okay, do you love you? He goes, yes, I love myself. I'm like, great.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the fact that I'm having this talk with you. You know, African parents always feel like the dad has to be more strict and firm, while the women are the ones with the softer heart. But I've noticed situations that are opposite. So I want us to dive into emotional presence.
yeah,
On this part of the world, right?
yeah, yeah,
Most parents tend to be like, oh, we are chasing the dollars. We have to work, we have to provide, and we
yeah,
still have to be there for them. I noticed
yes,
that among our people, emotional presence is what is really lacking, right? I work a 12-hour night shift. I come back. I don't know how to give my kids a hug and ask them, how was your day? Guess what? The mind is not functioning anymore. I want to just dive to bed and I get some rest. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday and I was like, I tried working night shift for a year and I felt like a zombie. I could not connect. I'm not like I could not connect with my kids. I found that every little bit of thing triggers me. My emotions were like flying up in the sky. And I was like, what is going on? Before I noticed that all my life I never worked night shift. I was
yeah.
just engaging into night shift. And I had to stop. I was like, if I have to build a bond with my kids, then I really don't have to be doing that. So we talk about providing financially, but
Mhm.
emotional presence too is very, very important. So how do you stay emotionally available for your child?
I like the point that you brought up with respect to work and how that can affect us. So I I was in Boston, Massachusetts, and I used to when my son was still about 1, 2, and the ages of 3, I believe.
Yeah.
I and his mom was in Maine, which is 2 states over.
Wow.
So on the weekends that I have him, I'll go pick him. I'll drive up. We'll meet halfway, and I'll get him and bring him back to Boston with me. And as time went on and as he got older, I decided I'll just move up to Maine so I can be closer to him because I don't want to be absent in seeing him grow and being there. And that increased my commute for work. So 3 days a week, I'm away for work. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I board a train at 5:18 from Portland, Maine to Boston for work. And then I come back to Portland, Maine. And my commute alone one way is 2.5 hours. And then back is another 2.5 hours. And then even on the last day of that, I have to drive up north to Bangor where I am. It's another 2 hours. So probably I'll say about maybe 16 hours in the week I'm commuting, you know. And but I did all that for because I wanted to one, be an active parent in my child's life
Yeah.
because I felt like being in Boston, I was just gonna be too far from him. I love him too much not to be there. Because the moments when his mom really needs my help to talk to him, even if it's just to pick him up and take him away for like, a few hours or so, or to reach out to me. Like one good thing we have is we have an amazing co-parenting relationship.
Wonderful.
We support each other so well. She knows my work schedule. If I see her calling me in the middle of the day at work, I know
Something is wrong.
something's wrong, you know.
Wow, that's
And
good.
I always take that call. But no matter how exhausted I am, I always create space for him because I know we cannot get these moments whereas they're young. You know, no matter how exhausted I am, I try to be mentally present. And of course, it doesn't work every time. When I'm extremely exhausted and he wants to play, he wants to do this and that, sometimes I just tell him, I'm sorry that I doesn't have it in him, that I just want to lay down. And I
Mm.
can see the disappointment in his face. And in that moment, I feel guilty, that my son just wants to play with me and I don't even have the energy to do that. And so I'll force myself to come up with some energy. And then I'm just thinking when he goes to bed, I'm crashing,
I know.
you know? And that's how I've been trying to balance it. But it's difficult, but I'm doing the best that I can right now.
Thank you so much. I really want to appreciate you for that sacrifice. And my prayer is I hope when they grow up, they would grow with this understanding the sacrifices we are making for them. And that just tells me of just the sacrifices parents are making out here. And sometimes I don't blame the kids, I don't blame the children because at their level, they might not understand. But when they grow, like my daughter asked me the other day, Mom, why is it that you tend to give me all the responsibility? You're always calling, you're always asking me to do this. I'm like, when you grow up, you're going to understand
Yeah.
the importance and not even a burden, but let me say the responsibility you bear as the first child. I'm the
Oh,
first child, so I know how challenging it is. So what I'm doing is not punishing you, but just making sure that I'm dotting every I's and cutting the T's so that you know exactly what to do in case mom is not here tomorrow. So it's not a burden. So I don't want you to see it as a burden.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so far, I really want to appreciate you, and I want to tell you that before we go to our closing, the things I have picked out from you, and I'm hoping that our viewers get to understand it's the importance of being intentional with parenting, the
Mm,
importance of discipline, and the sacrifices we have to make as parents. We have to make those school runs, you driving 2 hours to and 2 hours back. Those are the sacrifices we make to make sure that we are there. A lot of single parents, those who are divorced, one thing I'm so happy and I'm delightful and I'm taking away from here is the fact that co-parenting is going so, so well with you, and I appreciate that. I have a couple of people I am mentoring and kind of just trying to help out because co-parenting, it's not going on well for them. It's either one parent is feeling like the relationship did not work out because of you and I have to punish you, or the other parent is feeling like it's feeling like I have to make you feel that pain. But they are forgetting about the fact you said one thing. It's not about us, the parents, but about the kids. I
yeah.
want to stress on that part because
Yeah.
guess what? We are raising future leaders of tomorrow. So
Mhm.
whatever we instill in those kids is what they are going to bring forth, is what they are going to vomit back to the society. And that brings me before we close and before you tell me what you really want the viewers to take. You have spoken about this and it brings me back to the point of leadership and the
Yeah.
kind of leadership role you're instilling in your son. And Mr. King, I really want to appreciate you because if we look at the marriages of nowadays, I know
Yeah.
sometimes the challenges can come from both ends,
Yeah.
right? But we have to understand the place of the dad in a family. You and I, we are Christians, and we are strongly under the leadership of Prophet Benjamin, and we know how he's so serious about our relationships thriving. The
Yes.
Bible says the father is the head of the home. So
Yeah.
the wife submits to you. So that leadership comes from dad to mom. And then the kids benefit from what the two of you share. And
Yeah.
I'm very, very grateful that co-parenting is going on. So before we come to our conclusion, we have a couple of minutes left. I want you to touch a little bit about the leadership values you're instilling in your son, and then give me a conclusive summary and a takeaway message for our viewers from you as a dad.
Absolutely. One thing I always let my son understand is he has to be respectful.
Thank you.
He has to be very grateful
Thank
when
you.
people help him or do something for him. And if someone does something for him, he has to always tell them thank you because they didn't have to do that,
Thank you.
but they did it. And even now, when he wants something from me and he says, Dad, I want this, I just pause. I don't say anything back. And then he thinks and he goes, comes back and goes, please. I said, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then, you
I
know,
tell my son, use your magic word.
yeah. And he comes back and then we help do anything for him. And it's not because I can't just give him what he asked, but I need him to understand like it's being polite. It's being respectful to the person that you're seeking help from.
Thank you.
Because if you could do it yourself, then you just go ahead and do it.
Yes.
You need my help to do it. So, and good leaders need to be respectful,
Mm-hmm.
need to be understanding, and also listen very well. Because when I'm speaking to him and he's not listening, I say his full name. I say it. I say, Kyle Alexander King, look at me. And then his eyes go wide open and it's like,
Oh,
oh,
that is now serious.
that is serious. you know? And when that happens, he's like all attention, okay? And I speak to him and he listens to me. But I also I make that for him to understand like I love you very much,
No,
but
you're
I
doing
also
great
will
best.
not let you go the wrong way. It will not happen.
Thank you.
and that, and I see it in him. I remember the first time I came to Maryland to visit when I brought him home. My brother-in-law to this day still says it. He goes to my sister's house, my sister Esther, and you know her. And he goes and he's playing around with things, and my brother-in-law's like, every time he wanted to touch something, he'll come ask me if he could touch it. Every time he wanted to do this, I said, it's taking a lot of work to do that. But
Yes.
his mom and I have been working, like, that's why it's important to work in
Empty.
lockstep in the co-parenting, because what I do here,
It should be
she
what
does
she
over
picks up
on the
with.
other side,
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's key. But I just want to close by saying, when it comes to co-parenting, especially in a situation where the two parents are not together,
Yes.
in my earlier point, you have to keep in mind that it's not about you, the parents. Whatever transpired and you guys are not together, put
Mhm.
that aside.
Thank you.
Because what you do, kids are very observant. What you do is very important. My son has never, ever seen his mom and I argue
Thank you.
or be disrespectful to each other. Never. He's never felt like he's grown up in like a single parent, situation, because from day one he's been loved
Thank
and
you.
he knows that. And his mom and I told each other, like, look, we're never going to be together, but we have to co-parent
Thank
because it's about him. And if there's any drama, we keep it outside. When it comes to him, we make decisions together.
Thank you.
And also, if we cannot agree on something, then we don't do it. One person doesn't wake up tomorrow and decide they just want to go do something and
Yeah.
then they just do it. It's respect. So no matter what the situation is, respect each other and also always remember your kids come first. Don't use your kids as a pawn. It doesn't work. At the end of the day, they create trauma, and then you wonder why they grow up acting certain ways.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what they saw growing up and how you guys were treating each other. So always remember, you can have your disagreements, argue away from the kids, but don't use your kids to be like, the punching bag in that situation.
Thank you so much. The closing remarks were very touching. If you're out there, a single person watching us, and you hope to raise kids tomorrow, take it from Mr. King. If that relationship is not working and you have to co-parent, ask God for grace and wisdom to be able to direct you. And I want us to live knowing that it is not all about us, the parents, all the time. We are raising a generation of leaders. That son of yours is going to be a husband to another lady tomorrow. That daughter of yours is going to be a wife to another person. And what they become is the representative of us, the parents. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your sacrifices. I pray God continues to give you the strength and the wisdom to give us a beautiful husband and a great leader and one who will fear God for eternity. Thank you so much, Mr. King. Enjoy
Thank
the
you so
rest of
much for
your
your
week
time.
and stay blessed, sir. Thank you. It's
Thank you.
really my pleasure having you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.